Yeah, good day to you guys. Alright, you're welcome to this platform. The course is still Principle of Economics. The topic we have before us is price determination. Okay, price determination. By now, you should know what demand is all about. Therefore, you should know what supply is all about. The laws of demand, laws of supply. The laws of demand shows indirect relationship between price and quantity demanded, while laws of supply shows direct relationship between price and quantity demanded. So, having understood demand principles and the laws, supply principles and the laws, we can now move into price determination. What is price determination? Price determination is the relationship between demand curve and supply curve in order to determine equilibrium price and quantity, and also to allocate scarce resources in an economy. I'll recap. Price determination is the relationship between demand curve and supply curve in order to determine equilibrium price and quantity, and also to allocate scarce resources in an economy. My demand curve goes like a this, like a that. If here's my quantity demanded, here's 0, here's my price. It slopes downward from left to right, which shows inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. Alright, my supply curve goes like a this, like a that. This is my demand curve. This is my supply curve, like a this, like a that. It slopes upward from left to right. Here's my supply curve. Alright, my supply curve shows a direct relationship between price and quantity supply. Now, how does my price determination, how does it look? Look, it goes like a this, like a that. Here's my quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Here's 0. Here's my price. Now, I want to look at the relationship between these two curves in how we can use it to determine equilibrium price and quantity and to allocate scarce resources in an economy. Now, the one that goes like a this is my demand curve, while the one that goes like a that is my supply curve. Alright, you can see they meet at this point. I'll trace it down. Yes, my equilibrium quantity. At this quantity, my quantity demanded is equal to quantity supply. This quantity here, my quantity demanded is same as quantity supply. I'll trace it down. I have my what? Equilibrium price. Yes, my equilibrium quantity. So here is my equilibrium point. So this curve we have here can be called price system, or we call it price mechanism, or we call it the forces of demand and supply, or it's called the invisible hand. Invisible. It's called invisible hands. The invisible hand was given to us by Adam Smith. So you can also call it invisible hands. Adam Smith named it invisible hands. So these are other names of these curves. You can call price system, price mechanism, force of demand and supply, or the invisible hand. At the end, we use it to get equilibrium points. We get our equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity. Now, we have 3 things on the board: equilibrium points, equilibrium price, and equilibrium quantity. We need to know them to help us understand everything under price determination. The first thing there is equilibrium point. Equilibrium point. What is equilibrium point? Equilibrium point is a point on the graph where quantity demanded, where demand curve and supply curve are equal. The point on the graph where demand curve and supply curve are equal. This is my equilibrium point. The next is my equilibrium price. Equilibrium price is the price in which quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same. The price in which quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same is what we call the equilibrium price. Out there, Now we have equilibrium quantity. My equilibrium quantity is the quantity in which the quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same. The quantity where quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same. That's what we call equilibrium quantity. So these 3 points, they are very important to understanding price determination. Now let's look at this scenario. Note below. Let's look at this scenario like this, like that. Yes, my quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Yes, 0. This is my price. What comes down like this is my demand. The one that goes up like this is my supply. Okay? Now, I have my equilibrium point. I trace it down. I have my Q. And I trace it. I have my P. This is my equilibrium price. Please note, equilibrium price can also be called market clearing price. Equilibrium price can also be called market clearing price. Now, if I decide to fix a price, let's call it price 2. I fix the price like this, like that. This price 2 here, if I trace it to my demand, it shows that my demand is lower than this. If I trace it to supply, it shows that my supply is greater than this. So here is excess supply. So any price above the equilibrium will bring about excess supply. If I fix another price, instead of fixing that, price 1, and the price is below the equilibrium, as you can see, price 1, I will trace it to my supply. My supply is lower compared to this. I'll trace it, my demand is lower. So this shaded portion is called excess demand. The question now from this scenario, we have 2 things. The first is excess supply. Question is, what is excess supply? Excess supply is when quantity supplied. You can see it if I trace it down to the quantity. When quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded, we have excess supply. And what causes excess supply? Whenever price is fixed above the equilibrium price. When a price is fixed above the equilibrium price, we are going to have excess supply. So please know that. Okay? So how do we calculate excess supply? Because excess supply occurs when quantity supply is greater than quantity demanded. So excess supply is calculated as quantity supply minus quantity demanded. So to get your excess supply, you have to deduct your quantity demanded from your quantity supply to get your excess supply. The next is excess demand. Excess demand occurs when quantity demanded, you can see, is greater than quantity supplied. Okay, when quantity demanded is greater than quantity. So how do you calculate excess demand? Excess demand is quantity demanded minus quantity supplied. What causes excess demand? When a price is fixed below the equilibrium price. So the consequence of fixing the price below the equilibrium price is that it will lead to excess demand for goods and services, which means that quantity demanded will be greater than quantity supplied. What's the consequence of fixing price above the equilibrium price? It will bring about excess supply, which means quantity supply will be greater than quantity demanded. Now let me show you from a table. Let's look at a scenario from the table. Like this, like this, like this. Let's say here is my price, and here is my quantity demanded and quantity supplied. Let's say I have 1 naira, 2 naira, 3 naira, 4 naira, and 5 naira. The law of demand says the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. So if I have 10 units here, as the price increases, my quantity will reduce based on my law of demand. Alright? So the higher the price, the lower the quantity. So for supply, if I have, as the price increases, quantity supply will increase. Here is 4 units, here is 6, here is 8, and here is 2 units. From this table here, I can present it in a graph which goes like this, like that. 0, let's say my price is 1, 2, 3, 4 naira and 5 naira. Yes, my price. Here's my quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Let's say I have 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. So which means at 1 naira, let me do my demand first. At 1 naira, I'm demanding 10 units. 1 naira, 10 units. At 2 naira, 8 units. 2 naira, 8 units. At 3 naira, 6 units. 3 naira, 6 units. Then at 4 naira, I'm demanding 4 units. 4 naira, 4 units. Then 5 naira, 2 units. 5 naira, 2 units. Okay, my demand curve slopes downward from left to right. This is my demand curve. My supply now, at 1 naira, I'm supplying 2 units. 1 naira, 2 units. At 2 naira, I'm supplying 4 units. 2 naira, 4 units. Then at 3 naira, I'm supplying 6 units. 3 naira, 6 units. At 4 naira, I'm supplying 8 units. 4 naira, 8 units. Then at 5 naira, I'm supplying 2 units. 5 naira, I'm supplying. This should be 10 units. At 5 naira, I'm supplying 10 units. So my supply goes upward. Here's my supply. So you can see that from this my equilibrium point, from the table. Now from the graph, from the table I can tell my equilibrium quantity, because any quantity where quantity demanded and quantity supply are the same is my equilibrium quantity. So my equilibrium quantity is 6 units, because the quantity in which quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same. So from the table I can get my equilibrium price, because the price at which quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same as my equilibrium price. So my equilibrium price is 3 naira, because quantity demanded and quantity supplied are the same as 6 units. So my equilibrium quantity is 6 units. Okay, so you can see my equilibrium price is 3, my equilibrium quantity is 6 from the table, from the graph as well. Now, any price fixed below the equilibrium price will lead to excess demand. And any price fixed above the equilibrium price will lead to excess supply. Now let's look at the table. 3 naira is my equilibrium price. What are the prices fixed below? I have 2 and 1. At 2 naira, I should have excess demand. Why? Because my quantity demanded 8 is greater than quantity supplied 4. And my excess demand means quantity demanded minus quantity supplied. 8 minus 4 will give me excess demand of 4 units. At 1 naira, my quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied. So my excess demand at 1 naira is 10 minus 2, which is 8 units. So I can determine excess supply at 4 naira and 5 naira, because they are fixed above the equilibrium price. So at 4 naira here, my quantity supply is greater than quantity demanded. So my excess supply is 8 units minus 4 units, which is 4 units. My excess supply at 5 naira is quantity supplied minus quantity demanded, which is 10 units minus 2 units, it is 8 units. So here we know what we mean by excess demand and what an excess supply. Now let's look at changes in equilibrium price. Changes in equilibrium price and quantity. We could have a change in equilibrium price, and we can have a change in equilibrium quantity. Look at the here. We only have one equilibrium price, one equilibrium quantity, one equilibrium price, one equilibrium quantity, one equilibrium price, one equilibrium. So our equilibrium price could change and equilibrium quantity could change. What are the factors? The factors are 2. Alright? Number 1, we have change in demand and change in supply. These are the 2 factors that can make our equilibrium price and quantity to change when there's a change in demand or when there's a change in supply. What is change in demand? Change in demand is when different quantities are demanded at a particular price. It is said to be a shift in demand curve, either to the left or to the right. If a demand curve shift to the left is a decrease, when the demand curve shift to the right is an increase. So let's look at the first scenario, which is what? A change in demand. When we say we have a change in demand, it's either we have increase or decrease. Let's look at the first one, effect of an increase in demand. When there's an increase in demand, how will it affect our equilibrium price and quantity? Let's look at it. I have like this, like that. Quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Yes, 0. Yes, my price. I have my demand. I have my supply. S. I have my equilibrium price, quantity Q1. I have P1. When there's an increase in demand, it means the demand curve will shift to the right. If my demand curve, this is my right, I have a new demand curve. Can you see that? I have D2. Let me call this D, and let me call this one D1. So my new demand curve is now D1. Alright, with this new demand curve, I have a new equilibrium point. I'll trace it down. So I have Q2, then I have P2. Can you see that? So when there's an increase in demand without a corresponding change in supply, it means that it leads to an increase in equilibrium price and quantity. So this increase in demand now, without the corresponding change in supply, has led to increase in equilibrium price and increase in equilibrium quantity. Let's look at the effect of a decrease in demand. Now I can rub here off. Let me wipe it off. The next one, effect of a decrease in demand. Alright, I have my equilibrium price like this, 0, quantity demanded slash quantity supply. I have my price. This is my demand. This is my supply. This is my equilibrium price, quantity 1, price 1. So effect of a decrease in demand. Decrease in demand is a leftward shift in demand curve, like this, like this. So I have a new demand curve. I call it D1. D1. This is D. So with this new demand curve, I have a new equilibrium. So I'll trace it down. I have Q2. You can see decrease. I have P2. You can see the arrow. The arrow is signifying decrease. So it leads to a decrease in equilibrium price and quantity. So when there's a decrease in demand without a corresponding change in supply, it will bring about a decrease in equilibrium price and quantity. Let's look at the other scenario, a effect of a change in supply. The next one is number 2, change in supply. When we have a change in supply, it could either be, let's look at the first one, effect of an increase in supply. When we have an increase in supply, what happens? I look up like this, like that. Here's my quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Here's 0. Here's my price. This is my demand. This is my supply. I have equilibrium quantity 1, equilibrium price 1. An increase in demand in supply means my supply will shift to the right. My supply shift to the right, shift to the right. I have a new supply curve. I call it S1, S1. With this S1, S1, I have a new equilibrium point. equilibrium point where demand curve and supply curve meet. So I'll trace it down. I have Q2 increase. I have P2 decrease. So when there's an increase in supply without a corresponding change in demand, it leads to a decrease in equilibrium price and increase in equilibrium quantity. All right, now let's look at the other scenario. Effect of a decrease in supply. When we have a decrease in supply, look at it. I have it like this, like that. Quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Yes, zero. Yes, price. Okay. Here's my demand curve. Here's my supply curve. So I have my Q1, I have my P1. Alright, this is my equilibrium price and quantity. So, effect of a decrease in supply. Decrease in supply is a leftward shift. If my supply shift to the left, like this, I have a new supply. I call it S1, S1. I have a new equilibrium point. I'll trace it down. I have Q2 decrease. I have P2 increase. So, this has led to increase in equilibrium price and decrease in equilibrium quantity. So it leads to an increase in equilibrium price and a decrease in equilibrium quantity. So that is that about price determination and everything. So it's always merged with price control. Now let's look at price control. Price legislation, or what we call price control. Now, what we just finished now is price determination, which involves the relationship between demand curve and supply curve to determine equilibrium price and quantity. Now, once we have price control, because it involves the principle. Price control is the act of fixing price on goods and services by the government to achieve some stated objectives. So, act of fixing price on goods and services by the government to achieve some stated objective is what we call price control, or what we call price legislation. Right? Now, what are the reasons or why? Objectives. What are the aims? Objective of price control, PC. Why do government fix price on goods and services? Alright? What is the aim of government? Number one is to stabilize price. Stabilize price. Alright? One of the aim of price control is to prevent cyclical fluctuation in price of goods and services in an economy. So when price is fixed, it prevents floating of prices. So price is stable, to ensure that price is stable in an economy. Alright? Number two, to curb inflation in an economy. Alright, we all know that inflation is the persistent rise in general price level of goods and services. So if the price is stable, alright, it prevents inflation. Another one is to protect consumers from exploitation. Consumers are always exploited in form of high prices of goods and services they want to buy. Alright, so when the price is fixed, government is protecting them, all right, from being exploited. Another one that may surprise most of you is to protect sellers or suppliers or producers from exploitation. Yes, it's the work of government. As government protects consumers, government also protects sellers, suppliers, producers from exploitation. You are wondering, what are those that will exploit producers? Yes. Now, government protects them also from exploitation. And here we always look into labor markets. And we all know that labor market involves individuals. All right. So it involves employees. Okay. So government always protect them by fixing a minimum wage. Now, the seller of service is the employee. The buyer of the service is the employer. All right, in that case, government is protecting the seller of the service of labor from being exploited by the buyer, because the buyer has upper hand in that case. All right, number next, to achieve full employment in a country. So government fixed price to achieve full employment in a country, and full employment is when we have over 95% of labor force being employed, which is not easy. Nigeria is far from that. Nigeria is very, very far from that. Okay, so we have types of price legislation. We have types of price legislation. We have types of price control. We have types. Number one, we have minimum price legislation, and we have maximum price legislation. So we have minimum price legislation and we have price. These are the two types. Let's look at number one. We have minimum price legislation. Minimum price legislation is a price fixed in which sellers are not allowed to sell below. A price fixed in which sellers are not allowed to sell below. That's what called minimum price legislation. For minimum price legislation to be effective, it must be fixed above the equilibrium price. So any price fixed in which sellers are not allowed to sell above is said to be what? To sell below is said to be minimum price legislation. Alright? And it is usually fixed above the equilibrium price. An example of minimum price legislation is minimum wage. Minimum wage of workers. That's an example. And minimum price legislation is meant to protect sellers from exploitation. Sellers as well as producers as well as suppliers. It protects them from exploitation. Now, graphically, what I was saying, like at this, like at that. Yes, my quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Now, I want to use the principle of price determination. Yes, my demand curve. Yes, my supply curve. Alright? We all know that this is my equilibrium price. Go on quantity, this is my equilibrium price based on our previous knowledge. Now, any price fixed above the equilibrium price. Now, look here. Minimum price legislation is a price fixed in which sellers are not allowed to sell below. Now, for minimum price legislation to be effective, it must be fixed above the equilibrium price. Now, this price like this is called minimum price legislation. Another name for minimum price legislation is what we call price floor. So another name for minimum price legislation is price floor. Now, there's an issue here. Based on what I just taught you, any price fixed above the equivalent price will cost something. Now, this price, minimum price, is above the equivalent price. It will lead to what? Excess supply. It will lead to excess supply. Are we there? So minimum price legislation protects sellers from exploitation, but it has disadvantage. The disadvantage of minimum price legislation is that it will bring about excess supply of labor. You know, minimum price legislation is usually used to protect workers from being exploited by being paid lower than what they should be paid. But because that price should be a price that should be attractive to workers, so there will be increase in supply of labor. Alright, so that increase in supply of labor will bring about excess supply of labor, and that excess supply of labor will lead to unemployment. So the disadvantage of minimum price legislation is that it leads to unemployment, because the excess supply of labor will bring about unemployment. But note, minimum price legislation is to protect sellers from exploitation, and for it to be effective, it must be fixed above the equilibrium price. Let's look at the next, the number 2. The second type, which is maximum price legislation, just the way it is on the board. Maximum price legislation. Maximum price legislation is a price fixed by the government in which consumers are not allowed to buy above. A price fixed by the government in which consumers are not allowed to buy above. And for maximum price legislation to be effective, it must be fixed below the equilibrium price. For maximum price legislation to be effective, it must be fixed below the equilibrium price. And maximum price legislation is meant to protect consumers, buyers, customers from exploitation in form of high prices. Now look at it graphically, like at this, like at that. Here's quantity demanded slash quantity supply. Here's 0. Here's my price. What goes down is my demand. What goes up is my supply. Here is my equilibrium price. Here's my equilibrium quantity. Okay? Now, a price fixed below is called maximum price. Another name for maximum price is what called price ceiling. Please note, price ceiling is another name for maximum price. Alright? So maximum price legislation is meant to protect buyers from exploitation. Example of maximum price legislation is what called petroleum pump price. Thank God, in your country, in Nigeria now, it has been reduced to 125. Okay, so petroleum pump price in Nigeria has been reduced to 125 naira. Okay, so you are not allowed to buy above. It's a way of protecting you from exploitation in form of high price. Alright, just like the minimum wage in Nigeria has been increased to 30,000 naira. So as a laborer, you are not meant to collect below 30,000 naira. Okay, so it is meant to protect your labor service as a seller of labor. Alright, that's under minimum. For maximum price legislation, it's meant to protect consumers from exploitation. Now, I said something that any price fixed below the equilibrium price will lead towards excess demand. Any price fixed below the equilibrium price will lead to excess demand. Now, the disadvantage of maximum price legislation is that it leads to excess demand. It leads to excess demand of goods and services. The excess demand of goods and services always creates what we call black markets, or what you want as parallel markets. Parallel markets. Another name for black market is parallel market. Alright? So the excess demand will lead to creation of black market. And black market is a market where ordered goods are sold at high prices to consumers. Ordered goods are sold at high prices to consumers. Okay? So the disadvantage of maximum price legislation is to lead to excess demand, and the excess demand will bring about creation of parallel market or black market, so that those goods would be ordered. And ordering of goods means you create artificial scarcity so that the consumers can buy at a price other than the government regulated price. So that's because there's excess demand for that commodity. Okay, so there's difference between price legislation and price determination. Like I said earlier, price determination is the relationship between demand curve and supply curve to determine equilibrium price and quantity or allocate scarce resources. But price control is the attempt or the act of fixing price on goods and services by the government to achieve some objective, and these are the objectives on the board. And we have minimum price and maximum price. And under price determination, the equivalent price could change, like I said, and you have to raise two reasons, two factors. And the two factors are when there's a change in demand or when there's a change in supply for a commodity. So with this, you should have no problem as regards price system and price legislation. Thank you.